everybody. Today I have a flip through for you of how I worked through the big picture. Now, the big picture Devo is December's devotional kit from ByTheWell4God, and if you haven't seen any of my past unboxings, it's a 14-day devotional with all kinds of little bits and goodies. If you're interested in what that included, you can go back to one of my previous videos with an unboxing. But today, this video is just to show you how I worked through this past December's kit. I did it a little bit differently than I normally do. You normally see me do a lot of art and small little like mixed media books or junk journaling type things, but this month I really focused on the study portion of it. And a lot of times I go into the Christmas season with really high expectations. I'm like, I want to do all the art and just really spend time in the Word and, just bring all of His Word to life with all of my art materials. But I really was like, you know what? In reality, in real life, life gets crazy, life gets busy. I've got 3 kids at home. We're getting ready for Christmas. So I knew that I was not going to be able to devote the time to lots of art pieces this month. So instead, I decided to really make sure I was focusing on the Word portion of it and the study portion. So for this month, I used my growth book. I don't know if you've seen these before. It's a beautiful book called The Growth Book. And this is, I'll show you a little overview of it if you haven't heard of it. It's a really nicely put together book that you can keep track of all kinds of things. There's a section in the beginning where you can jot down your goals for all different aspects of life for the year. And I wanted to start this originally in January, but because this month's kit was going through like a basic, really broken down general summary of the entire Bible, I thought, what a good thing to put at the very beginning of my growth book, like have all those notes jotted down. So that's why I decided to do it in December instead of January. So you can keep track and put things in order in like a little table of contents section here, and then it comes right into your notes section. Has lots of dotted paper. It even has some little Bible verses put in there throughout the different pages. And then if you flip all the way to the back, see, there's a couple extra things. You can keep track of books you've read, when you completed them. And then it has a really nice little map broken down of the Bible, so you can keep track of what you've read, what you haven't, what you've completed. So it's a really neat all-in-one comprehensive book for all kinds of things. But anyway, so I decided to record my notes for this month's journaling kit. I shared a couple of these pages on Instagram, and life got really, I think God knew what He was doing when He told me, sent me that little sign like, hey, why don't you really study the Word this month and have a little less art, because art can be really time consuming, and my oldest ended up dislocating her knee, so I had to be there all the time helping with all the things. And we had all the Christmas stuff, and then we got a puppy, and I have 3 kids, so it was just a bit crazy. Anyway, so this really worked for me this month. But I also wanted to add, Bible journaling is not only art. Bible journaling is also study. It is also highlighting and notes, and there are lots of different ways to do Bible journaling. So I really wanted to put this video on here so you guys could see another version of Bible journaling. So for this one, I went through each day and I did my notes, and I added some little embellishments here and there to make it a little extra fun. So here, day 1, we were breaking down the Old Testament and the New Testament and what those books are in each. So there's, 5 books of law, 12 books of history, 5 books of poetry and wisdom. So everything here is broken down. I used some of the little pieces of the kit here. I did some little coloring with pencil, some little alpha tiles. And then right here, I actually made a little pocket and tucked some of the verse cards right in there. So still using some of my journaling techniques, just in a different way. So here we've got day 2. Day 2 was talking about Genesis, and in the very beginning of this devotional, we were following a bloodline. Like, we were tracking the bloodline all the way to Jesus. So throughout here, I have little notes like connecting the people. So we've got Adam and Eve, and then Seth, Noah, Shem, Abraham. And then over here, we connect Abraham to Isaac and Jacob. So it all kind of follows through, and I like how everything's connected. So here, I just, I marked each day what it was, what the topic was in the corner, the date I studied it. I put all my notes, lots of room for notes, lots of notes, room for highlighting. Put a couple journaling cards in here. This one, I did a lot more embellishment. I actually got my stamps out. I did some fun stamping on the edges, and just kind of added some fun things that way. Day 4 and day 5. Day 4 was talking about the blessings and the curses. So we get to Moses and the sacrificial system here. And I really liked how much space there was here, so I could include all my notes, like my lists. I love lists when it comes to studying the Bible. So I have here the 4 truths from the sacrificial system. Used my little alpha tiles for the numbers. And again, just lots of notes, but it was fun to think of them in a creative way. Like over here, I put this little gnome guy, and I have him saying one of the Bible verses. First, I can't read what I wrote. 1 Samuel 8:5, I think. Now appoint for us a king to judge us like all the nations. So I kind of made it fun, made it look like he was saying that. And then here, ripped up a piece of paper, it kind of looked like the mushroom was sitting on it, and left the top part of it unglued so I could make my little note card and add it in there. Here we have day 6 and day 7. And here I kind of did a little bloodline recap of things we had talked about. So I kind of connected all the dots to where we are here. We started talking about the Davidic covenant and, some washi tape on the side. And of course the clear sticker paper, die cuts are fun, really easy to pop in there. Something different I did right here, I took some of the paper, cut it down, glued 3 sides, and then left the top open again and made a little pocket for all of these verse cards here. So that one's a little bit different. And then, just embellished with die cuts and washi tape here and there to kind of break things up. Day 7, talked about the rebellion, how, let's see, we had northern Israel fell, southern Judah fell, and everybody was just rebelling and following everything through there. Day 8 and 9, we talked about the curses, but how everyone still had hope. This one did it a little differently too. We had some really fun postcard type journaling cards here. So I wrote the 2 verses here and filled up those cards, and then again left the top open for a pocket and wrote my verse here for one of about the curses. I made a note here: God did not bring this evil upon his people. He withdrew his blessings and allowed the curses to take place. So sometimes it's really easy when things are going wrong to point fingers and say that God's doing them to you, but most of the time actually that's not the case at all. And there's something that always we can learn from those difficult things that happen to us. Day 9, have everything, let's see, oh, I forgot to put the date on that one. The return, when everyone started to, the exiles returned in 3 waves. Made my list here, and these 2 together I did Distress Oxide blue. I think this was Speckled Egg maybe in the background, and then I used our fun Snowstorm stencil and used a darker shade of blue Distress Oxide for the snow on top. So, and I just made those darker up here and then applied less pressure and less ink to kind of make it look like it faded down the page. And here have day 10 and 11. Lots of notes here, lots of alpha stickers here. And this one, there was one of those little random Bible verses, so I used one of our die cuts to cover it up and grounded it with some washi tape there. let's see, this is talking about the birth of, you know, Jesus is here. Day 11, we're talking about the Gospels, Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So there's kind of like a little synopsis of each book there. And then I used our fun little stamp that we got with our Christmas balls as the 0 for the day 10 there. Okay, day 12 and 13. Here, I did it a little differently and just attached the verse cards and then made it like a flip up and wrote the verse underneath and with all of my notes. These little pieces right here are die cuts from, let's see, where is it? From this Sizzix set. What's the name of this one? I don't see the actual name. Anyway, this is the one I used for this. And I used the paper that coordinated with the kit to add these little embellishments here. And then I'm trying to go a little bit faster because I didn't want to make this video too terribly long. And then what else? Here we're talking about the book of Acts. These were the final words of Jesus to his gathered disciples before ascending to heaven. And I try to just put key elements in here that when I come back and I glance at these pages, I can really get what I got from that day. And then day 14, the final day of the devotional, I used 2 pages for this last one. I don't know why. It just bothered me that it would end right here and I'd have a blank page here. So when I start my next thing, I want to make sure it's completely clean. But it worked out because like I said, I like lists, and the book of Revelation is really big. It's really heavy, lots of information. So I like how I broke it up, all the information here. We have this verse here, Revelation 1:17, where when I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead. And this was just a really cute little card. So I included that one. And then underneath, when you go to the book of Revelation at the beginning, John gives a description of what Jesus looked like then when he appeared to him. So I jotted down all the little descriptive characteristics that he gave of Jesus underneath. And then went into the 7 churches that and the warnings that were given to those 7 churches. And if you've ever studied the book of Revelation, it is difficult. There's a lot of imagery, a lot of pictures and things you're trying to like picture in your mind and wrap your head around. So it is a little bit hard to follow at times and hard to interpret. And different people have different interpretations of it too. But you know, you got to try to get the meat, the hard chunk of what they're showing. So they're talking about the 7 churches, and so I listed the 7 churches here and the warning that went to each of the churches. For each church, he praised them for something, but then he also gave them a warning. Hey, you are not doing this like you're supposed to. And every single one of those warnings is completely relevant to us today. You can take something away from every single one of those warnings. So I think I studied the book of Revelation in 2021. And I could definitely go back, read it again, and get a lot more out of it still. So it's a really good book to read. And then after the churches, the rest of the book of Revelation addresses 3 future events that will occur. So I listed those 3 events, and then it breaks down a time of tribulation and what happens, where it talks about the breaking of the 7 seals, the sound of the 7 trumpets, and then the 7 bowls and the 7 plagues. So you can see the repetition there of 7, 7, 7. And we all know number 7 is the number of completion. So there is some key things to grab in there. And then at the very end of Revelation, they talk about the new heaven and earth. So jotted down some of that stuff there. And then this little corner actually had one of those Bible verses, like, you know, right here, that pop up, and it wasn't connected to what we were talking about. So I used some of my paper and my die cuts and a little piece there that I cut out to cover that up too. So lots of stickers and pieces of paper and die cuts and all kinds of fun stuff here. But that's the final day, day 14, that I just recently finished up. And I really enjoyed working through it this way. It's a little bit different. My daughter saw me and she was like, "Mom, why are you still working on it? It's not Christmas anymore." I'm like, yeah, I know it's not Christmas, but all of this stuff is important all of the time. And I'm not one to leave something unfinished, so I had to finish it out, and I'm really glad I have all this information right here at the front of my growth book. And I'll continue to add to this throughout the year. So yeah, so I will I will add a link in the description down below to this book if you want to check it out, if you're thinking about it for yourself. And yeah, it's just like a different way to organize and put down the notes you're doing in your Bible. The majority of the time when I'm doing my study time, I have a journaling Bible that is strictly for my study notes. So the wide journaling margin is full of my study notes. So I like to do that too. So this was just a little bit different and a little good combination of study and art that wasn't as time consuming as trying to do really thought out, well laid out, beautiful pages. So there's a time and place for everything, but this ended up working out really well for me this December. So there's that, day 1 through 14 of the big picture. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't talk too much. Tried to keep it fairly short and simple for you guys because I know these videos can get really long. So if you have any questions, leave a comment below, or you can message me. You can find me on Instagram at Faith.and.creativity, and that's where I'm most active over there because sometimes it's hard for me to get these YouTube videos out. But I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.